Hello and welcome to the brewery, and today we're starting on what should be quite a big project. So what I'm trying to build is a Peltier based fermentation temperature controller. So let's start at the beginning of the story. I bought a second-hand conical fermenter of Sarah, Dark Cat Brewing, link up there, just before BrewCon a month or so ago. And it's quite big and won't fit in my normal size fermenting fridge. So I had to work out another way to cool it and warm it and keep the temperature under control. So I decided to have a go at a project I've been meaning to try for quite some time, which is to build, as I say, a Peltier based temperature controller. So let's have a look at all the bits I've got together, and today we'll have a look at building the physical heating and cooling system, and in a later video we'll look at building the control box, testing the system, tuning it and trying it out in the beer. So what am I actually going to build? The aim is to have an aluminium rod leading down into the fermenter through the lid through a tri-clamp fitting. Attached to this is an aluminium plate, and on top of that sit a number of Peltier heat stroke cooling chips. And above these the necessary heat sinks and fans to remove the excess heat or cold. Here are the various components I bought, including a power supply, various connectors, and obviously the aluminium plate and rod, and some temperature sensors. The first aluminium rod I bought that was supposed to fit exactly through a tri-clamp fitting was slightly too big, so I had to go for a slightly smaller one in the end. I bought a pre-made Peltier board with 4 chips on it and a plate below, and tidied up the wiring with some project boxes. I also wanted to add an extra couple of tri-clamp connectors to the lid of the fermenter so that I could add a temperature probe and a blow-off valve onto there. So I got an extra couple of connectors and then sent this off to a local welder to fix it all up for me. So while he was welding it up, it was time to start the build. And here we have the aluminium plate, which is about nearly a centimetre thick, probably a lot thicker than I really need, but that's what it came in. I've sawn off the right length of it with a combination of hacksaw work for ages and some grinding with a Dremel. Polished up the surface just to get some of the oxide layer off, just to get a better thermal conductivity of the connection, and then next I'll be connecting that underneath the Peltiers and the coolers with some bolts and some thermal tape. Next I drilled the aluminium post to allow it to be connected onto the plate. I then tapped the hole to put a thread inside so I could use a bolt to attach it to the plate. Not perfect, but it'll do the job. Obviously, at this point, I now had to make a hole through the plate. I then had to countersink this hole to hide the head of the bolt so everything would fit flat. I did this with the massive drill bit you can see in the foreground here, and with a lot of tidying up with some grinding tools on a Dremel. This was surprisingly hard work. I then cut off a bolt to the appropriate length to fit the hole I drilled in the post and through the plate. And finally attach the two pieces together at last. The plate was obviously going to need some supports to keep it level, so I drilled and tapped some perspex legs. Drilling perspex without melting it entirely is surprisingly hard. I fitted some adjustable feet onto these legs to mean I could stabilise the whole platform, and then fitted them all together onto the plate. And finally I attached the Peltier plate on top, and we're finally ready to try it out. So what's next? Well, it does heat up and cool down quite affectionately, but it needs a load of insulation and much shorter legs to work properly. So in the next video, I'll build the control box, add some insulation, shorten the legs, and we can try it out properly.